Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a complete beginner's guide to Mind Over Magic, shall we? Mind Over Magic is a game that I have been just absolutely loving. I've been playing it a ton on the channel, streaming it, making some off-stream videos on it, and I wanted to share everything that I've learned through my own trial and error, through guides I've read online, and primarily from people while I'm on stream giving me advice from their experience playing, and just kind of put it all together into a package so that if you were thinking about playing Mind Over Magic, you would be able to see how the game works and make a decision on whether or not this is a good game for you, or if you just got the game recently and were kind of overwhelmed by the amount of things going on as I was when I initially got it, you could better understand the basics so you can enjoy the game. So what I'm going to do in this beginner's guide series is start up a brand new game. By starting from scratch, this allows me to explain everything as it comes to you as you're playing. Everything won't be exactly the same with your file. You'll have different mages, different map, but this will allow me to explain the controls, the UI, how to build, how to evolve your mages, educate initiates, grow your school, harvest materials, and be successful battling the fog so that you can have a great time with this game. Now, there's a lot of guides that are really in-depth about how to go the fastest and be the most efficient and optimal with leveling up your mages and your build order and everything like that. And this is not going to be that guide. This guide is going to be non-spoilery and just talk about the very basics and fundamentals so that you can make choices based on what you want to do with your magical school that you're building. Because there's a lot of debate and there's a lot of viability with builds and mages and structures and design and architectural choices. So I just want to show you how to play. And to do that, we're going to start right here, like so. And so with a new game, you get to pick a difficulty level. And I think that the best way to learn is in standard. That's what we're going to do for this guide series. However, if you find that you want to just chill and not really worry about conviction, which is kind of your mage's happiness / stress and sanity all in one bundle, and have less events and things, you can just go relaxed. But standard provides a kind of difficulty curve that well matches your progress, and it is challenging, but I haven't found it to be unfair. So I think that standard is a good way to get the challenge of the game, have fun, but not make it so oppressive like you were doing Relentless. And I don't think Relentless makes any sense for somebody who's never played the game. This is for complete beginners after all. So we're going to do standard. I'm not going to customize anything with this. You can go in here and change some of the settings, but I'm fine with the basic settings. And, as you play the game more and realize there are certain things that you want to tweak, you can come in here and there's a lot of adjustment you can make. Once you pick your difficulty level, you come to this screen, which allows you to make some further adjustments to your game, and the main one we're going to focus on is architectural style. Now, if you change the architectural style from balanced to one of these others, airy, wonky, whatever, then the requirements for your rooms will have different keywords, which will force you as you build, if you want to level up your rooms and meet the requirements of new and more advanced rooms, your school will take on the architectural style that you choose because of the keywords. Now, this might not make sense at first, and we'll explain it when we're in the game, But I'm going to go with balanced because it's recommended for new players. It's what my Let's Play is in. By the way, I'm going to link my Let's Play in the description below. So if you want to see me playing the game for the first time, playing on stream, playing off stream, making a lot of progress, getting much further in the game, you can do that. And I did balanced, and I found it to be fun. You still have to build towered rooms, skewed rooms, elevated rooms, etc. But it makes more sense, and it's a little bit easier to achieve, I think. So we're going to go here with balanced, and we're not going to do Iron Mage save mode because this is our first time playing. So I'm going to click start. So once the game loads up, you find this book that's going to give you some story here, and it says, "Once a school stood here, but our hubris led us astray. A terrible curse now sustains a deadly fog and crushes our conviction with the weight of its malice." So this is narrative, but it's explaining the fog is going to be the kind of enemy force that we have to battle throughout the game, and it is always going to be causing us problems. It's a persistent threat that we are going to manage with rituals to kind of reclaim this area and rebuild the school. And you see how it says it crushes our conviction. Our conviction is, like I said, a kind of psychological gauge of our mages that we need to manage by providing them with things that they like, recreation, good food, good bed accommodations, etc. You must rebuild the school and train brilliant new mages to brave the horrors of the Underschool and break the curse once and for all. And the Underschool, as you'll see, is actually, it's underground, and it's kind of like a dungeon that we get to get into battles with our mages and unlock new chambers and reclaim it from these monsters, gaining a lot of resources along the way. So the game is really cool because it's twofold. It's got a building element and a management element on the top of the world, and then down below there is a kind of turn-based combat element that we get to work with. This is from Lily, founder, His Dragon's Castle. So your founder name will be different. Your school name will be different. They are randomized. I'm going to rename our school to Incompetent Tutorial University. So this is our school name, and it will stick with us. And Lily is the founder of this school. Now it's time to pick our starting staff. What I did on my Let's Play was I just picked all 3 mages that they gave me randomly. I didn't even make any changes to it. I just went into it. And you could certainly do that. But I want to give you some tips for what you should look out for to kind of help you along. Before I select these mages, let me just kind of explain what kind of game Mind Over Magic is, in case that's not already obvious. It is a building colony management school. It is a kind of by the same publisher as Oxygen Not Included, and it is in that vein of a vertical colony management game. You get elements of Dwarf Fortress, RimWorld, and maybe even Sim Tower all together. But there is also a just turn-based RPG element to the game. And what we're going to be doing is trying to build the best school that we can, fighting off the fog, repelling it, exploring the Underschool, uncovering new rooms and resources down below so that we can ever train stronger mages to run our school, to get more sophisticated rooms, to build a bigger school, and to raise our magical school back to prominence and potentially defeat the fog. So this is what we're going to be doing in our game. And we need to select the wizards and witches that are going to come here to be our initial staff, our initial teachers. And you get to pick 3. And you will see that they have different races. So Randolph is a human, Dorian is a wolfkin, and Clementine is a vivified, kind of like, it reminds me of, Oogie Boogie or Jack Skellington or something like that from Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like a patchwork animated entity. And all of the labor in this game, which if you've played RimWorld or Oxygen Not Included or Dwarf Fortress or something like that, you know that people are going to be gathering materials, building things, and they're going to have different skills for these tasks. They're going to have different aptitudes for doing certain tasks. That is true in this game, but they're governed around elements. So certain labor types are associated with these magical elements. There's fire, water, dark, nature, earth, lightning, and air. And as you mouse over any of these things, you will see a description tooltip pop up. For example, with fire, it says, fire magic can be used in the school to cook, hunt, and destroy obstacles. And this means that somebody who is good at fire magic is good at hunting and good at cooking and destroying obstacles, among other things. But the other part of this is if you're in a battle, either on the surface world, inside a crystal or something, or you're down in the Underschool, enemies will have weaknesses, persona style, to the elements. And if you find someone who's vulnerable to fire, you want to bring your fire mage into that fight to exploit that weakness and do double damage against the enemy. So you need a diversity of the elements among your staff to do labor that's associated with these elements, and also to be successful in combat. So the main thing that we're going to be looking at with our starting staff, I think, is getting a good distribution of elements based on early tasks that we're going to be doing. So when we start out, for example, we're going to have to do a lot of harvesting of resources. So nature is good at harvesting, tending, chopping, and crafting wands. We're going to need to craft wands right away. That's something you need for your students. We're going to need to harvest plants and chop down trees. So we want at least one of our starting wizards to be nature. Now, you don't have to follow these recommendations. In fact, I didn't have a nature mage in my Let's Play because I just went with the 3 randoms that they rolled out there, and I did just fine. So don't feel like you have to do it. I'm just giving you, based on my experience, if I could pick some elements, these are the ones that I would do. So nature is certainly one that we want. So we start out here, and you could see, okay, well, we want somebody to be good at nature, so Dorian is good at nature. It's their highest number, so they start with a nature skill of 3. Great. And there's a lot to explain on this mage sheet, and we'll kind of break it down as we get into it further. But let me just tell you, in the upper left, as I moused over before, you could see their species. And this is a wolfkin, wolf-like creatures that will eat wild animals whole, high speed, and will sleep just about anywhere. And they have the added status of apex predator. So if any of these keywords don't make sense, this game has a fantastic nested tooltip function, which is very important for understanding all of the interactions and the different keywords. It's a tooltip system that you might be familiar with if you played Crusader Kings, or most modern games have this now. But what this means is if you mouse over the icon or whatever it is that pops up a tooltip, in the upper right you're going to see a progress wheel, and once that wheel fills in, then I can move my mouse off of what I'm highlighting and then actually interact with the tooltip itself and mouse over something within it, like, I don't know, speed, for example. So speed says it determines your combat order, and a higher speed stat will allow a mage to act earlier in each round of battle. So yes, all of the turn-based battles are initiative-based, and you could see the turn order, and high speed means they get to act fast, which means you could kill the enemy first, and they don't get to retaliate. Very nice. And then Apex Predator, what's that mean? So they don't suffer conviction penalties if they sleep outside or on the floor, and prefer to eat dire rat or croa over meals that have conviction penalties. So wolfkin like to just eat animals that haven't been cooked in your early recipes that have conviction penalties. So just, they'll go ahead and do that. If there's a corpse, they'll eat that of a dire rat or a croa. So you can kind of explore, you can poke around and see, okay, well, nature does harvest. What's harvest? What's tending? What's chop? And get more explanation. So having somebody who is a wolfkin do nature is just fine. Sometimes their race or species will conflict with the element type that they are, and it's not a good match. So, for example, dark magic is a very powerful combat magic, but if you fight with dark magic, the spells that you cast do hit point damage to your mage. And so what this means is if you have somebody who has very, very low hit points, this can be a little bit dangerous. Now, it's a percentage of your hit points, so it scales, but still, you don't want to be taking hit points away from a weaker, mage. So dark magic might not be the best on somebody who has, a tiny hit point pool. However, you might decide against that. You might be like, that's fine. And for that reason, by the way, I don't recommend starting with a dark mage. I did I've played the game on Steam Deck, by the way, as well. I will say the game works fine on Steam Deck, although you have to do a lot of mouse work with the trackpad or the analog stick, and you have to remap a lot of the buttons, but it runs well. But anyway, even though you get to do a lot of damage with dark magic, early game, it's challenging because you can't heal your mages very effectively until you build a hospital or some kind of medical bed, and that's a little bit down the road. So I don't like having a dark mage up front, and quilting and warding, which are the skills that the dark mage you could see right here are good at, quilting and warding. These are not things you're going to be doing right away. So we'll get a dark mage later, is my recommendation. So we have a wolfkin nature mage. This seems fine. And we can see that they have these relic slots right here in the center of this. Relics are kind of like artifacts that we'll gain throughout the game that we can equip to raise our mage's stats and abilities. We don't have any right now, don't have to worry about that. Here on the right column, you'll see their level. And their level can go up to 6 currently with this wand equipped. You are capped based on the level of wand that you have in terms of your magic. So with a level 1 wand, well, you can only do level 1 spells. And down below here, you could see the spells that we can get. And these spells are gated by skill. And these skill levels, they're also gated by wand level. So you're going to need to have a better wand to do better spells, and we'll need to make stronger wands, which our nature mage is good at once we get the ingredients. Now, over here on this right column, going back to this, all of our starting mages begin at level 3, and it says right here, with level, a mage's level reflects their overall combat prowess as well as their capability to equip relics. They gain experience as they cast spells, just as they do things. A mage's maximum level increases when they become an apprentice or staff, with the mage's current wand tier determining exactly how much. So this is, again, we need to get better wands to kind of raise our max level capability. Now, these stats, hit points, mana, power, and speed are all important in combat. And you could see, for example, power just adds damage to attacks. Mana is how much mana you have to use your spells. For example, you could see that Surging Strength, this spell right here, costs 30 mana. So you want more mana to cast more spells in combat. Hit points is the capacity of your health. If you lose all your health, you suffer a trauma and you get knocked unconscious. And HP recovers in a medical bed, like I was talking about, or by drinking a health potion. And both a health potion and a medical bed are not things that we're going to be producing right away. So we want to be mindful of our health. And these letters are grades on the aptitude of these abilities. So this mage, Dorian, is good at power, which means they're going to do a lot of damage with their spells. They're good at speed, which they'll act fast, but they have bad hit points and bad mana. And I'm talking a lot at this stage of the tutorial because we have to explain these things. You have to understand what they mean. That being said, in my opinion, you don't need to get too hung up here trying to pick the best possible mages because most of these people will be replaced. This is a game about finding people who are good, and if yet early on you don't have the means to always get the best possible candidates for coming to your school, being staff members, and you just do the best with what you have. And over time, as you get more technology, you get more options to recruit better people, you will replace these people. So don't worry about, like, oh, I'm locked into this disaster of a person. Like, in RimWorld, generally you have a person, a starting person, and that person will be with you for the entire game unless they die in a fight or of old age or something like that. And in this game, they could very well be with you, but you might instead want to dismiss them to make room for someone else, or retire them to make room for someone better. So don't worry, like, if your people aren't the absolute be-all, end-all. What we want to focus on, in my opinion, is just getting competent mages that are capable enough at the elements that we want. So nature is good. Air is not really one that I am thinking is 100% vital, but it's not bad. What I would actually like would be fire and lightning. And the reason I want fire is because we need to hunt so we can eat, and we also want to cook stuff. So fire is really good. And then lightning is good because it's in charge of research. So we need to start researching right away to get better stuff, and we want a lightning mage to do the research for us just right out of the gate, is at least what I would like. And the other elements are good too. Like, water is good for cleaning up messes and alchemy, but alchemy we're not going to get right away. Earth is ultra important also because we're going to be building a lot, so construction, so an earth mage is useful here. And you could, like, swap out fire for earth if you really wanted to. And then air is also good. They're all useful, and we want them all. But I'm just going to go ahead and start with fire, nature, and lightning. So this means that Dorian is okay, but I'm going to re-roll this mage here. And I'm just going to keep re-rolling until I see someone who is, well, let's just go fire. I was trying to re-roll until I got fire, but this will be fine. So, this is a vivified fire mage, and they have huge hit points as vivified do. But let's try to get some better. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I like this. So, what I wanted was, of course, hit points, which Vivified have, but I was looking for a little bit more power. So, this Vivified has good hit points, good power, bad on speed and mana, but that's okay. For early, we have somebody Vincent, who can do our hunting and can do our cooking and do fire damage in combat. And then now, you could see, by the way, instead of just rolling to get the element, you could select which element that you want. I'm going to come over here, and I want a lightning mage, and I'm going to re-roll this mage until I get someone I feel who is strong. So, let's see here. Another wolfkin. I'm just kind of looking at some different possibilities. Okay, F power is not great. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to go with another Vivified. I really like Vivified. They just, having a lot of hit points is good. They have reasonable mana, good power. But there are pros and cons to every species. And so Vivified have Stitched Stomach, which means they get no conviction penalties from eating and prefer to eat the lowest quality food available. So early game, we have the lowest quality food. So they're pretty nice early game, but you could pick whatever you want. If you want to go human, if you want to go all wolfkin, whatever. But this is reasonable. Like I said, it's not the end of the world if these people aren't fantastic. But we've gotten them good enough. Like, I've rolled a little bit to get a kind of distribution of these stats that I'm happy with, and I got the elements that I want, and I'm ready to found the school. So, immediately I'm going to push spacebar to pause the game. And let's talk about looking at the game world. We start in the Underschool here, and on the surface, all you're going to see is fog, and if I mouse over it, it says, "A deadly miasma from the depths of the Underschool. Each night, the fog advances to consume the school. Performing a ritual to clear the mana font will force the fog to retreat." So, we can't even go above ground because of the fog, and in the upper left, you're going to get these tutorials. Now, I recommend playing with them on because it's our first time. So, it's saying, learn about repel the fog. I'm going to click on this. So when you click on the tutorial pop-ups in the upper left, it opens the Codex. And the Codex is this kind of indispensable guide that you can get to at any time in the options menu, or even by, I think the Codex actually lives in the Underschool, I'll show you. And it keeps all of the information in the game. And you can search this. It's just indispensable because the game is so complicated, but it explains everything very clearly for you. And right now, for example, it's telling you about the fog. And we need to push the fog out further to reveal resources on the map and show us dangers to avoid. And to do that, we need to perform a ritual of repel fog, or the greater repel fog ritual at the mana font. And I'm going to push escape to close the Codex. And this is the Codex over here, by the way, what I'm talking about. It just lives down here. You can use WASD to move the camera around. And you can use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And this is something that's really cool. You can push T to tilt the game so you can kind of peer into the rooms a little bit better. And as we start, we only have 3 chambers. Remember, I have the game paused so we can just explore without, passing time. We have right here a student summoner, and this is where we're going to perform the ritual to summon a new student to come learn at our school. This is the mana font right here, which is all dark, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Here are our staff members. You could see in here, Barrich, Dorian, and Vincent. And then here is our Codex. This is all we've got. You could see your staff members and your students in the upper center of the screen. There are all of our people. You could see their elements. You could see their levels. And in the bottom center of the screen, you can see a small ribbon that will expand as we get more options. That all this has right now is a button to take to go into like screenshot mode, and there's another button for the Codex. So there's a Codex here, there's a Codex here. You could push escape and get to the Codex right here. They want to make it really easy for you to find it because it's so good. And then this gear is the same as pushing escape, and then here are the time settings. And spacebar pauses the game, and then you use Q and E to speed it up and slow it down. Now, this is days since the school opened. This is the first day, day 1. And then you're going to see the time of day on this gauge right here. It's now 6:05 a.m. And then over here is the amount of days until the fog consumes the school. Now, at the beginning of the game, it's just going to say 0. But once we do the ritual and push it back, this will be kind of like our ticking clock so that we can see how much time we have to get our act together and perform the ritual so we don't lose the school. Now, this mana font, I'm going to click on it. And this is what we're going to use, as it says. Whenever you click on things, you get these pop-ups. And these tooltips explain that the mana font restores mana for mages. Performing repel fog rituals purifies the mana font, forcing the fog to retreat and revealing more land and advanced resources. So the bigger ritual you do, the more rituals you do, the more you can push back the fog. However, to push the fog back further and further, it requires more resources and more advanced or exotic resources. So right now, we're not going to be able to do very much at all, just a basic repel fog ritual. And as you can see right here, these are our two options, repel fog and superior repel fog. And superior repel fog says, well, I can't even do this because I don't have the resources to do it. And I also need a student to do this. So when you mouse over one of these ritual options, it will tell you what it does and what the requirements are. If you don't meet the requirements, in the bottom right corner, you're going to see an icon with a red line through it, and you can mouse over this to kind of figure out what you're missing. And the numbers in red are telling me I need one student, for example, and I have 0. I need 9 gut berries and 75 wood, and I have 0. But I can do this ritual. All I need are 3 staff members. So I'm going to click on it, and this goes to the ritual screen, which is asking me to add a staff member to do the ritual. And I have my staff members over here, and I can drag over any of them to do this. So I'm just going to take Dorian and put them right here. And you could see that whoever does this ritual will get 100 experience. All of our people are level 3, but they can go up to level 6. As you can see when I mouse over, for example, Barrett right here, it gives you a window that shows you what level they are, how much experience they have, what kind of a wand they have, what their health is, what their mana is, and then the skull with the kind of flame coming out of it, the bottom gauge with the red and the yellow components there, is the conviction of this staff member. And I can see right now, this is their mental state. And like I said, it's kind of like in many of these games, you take happiness, you take, their psychology or their sanity from like Darkest Dungeon or something, and you put that all together and you get conviction. And so their conviction is 64 out of 100, which is fine. It's not bad. It's not in a dangerous zone, but it's not great. They're not thrilled. They're just kind of like, So whoever I put here will get experience, and then you just go, it says it's going to take 5 minutes. So that's 5 minutes. It's 6:05, so at 6:10, this ritual will be done. And I'm going to click Begin Ritual, and they will. However, I need to push Escape to close those windows. Nothing is happening because the game is paused. So I'm going to unpause the game, and you're going to see one of my mages just begin the ritual, and there they are. So Dorian is performing the ritual here, and it's done. And I'm going to pause the game. So you'll see immediately, now we can see a giant area above the school where we can build and gather resources. A room that has opened up below us, which is in the Underschool that we can explore. And let's just talk about what we now see as the entire UI has really filled in once we've done that ritual. So running along the bottom of the screen, you're going to see basic commands that you're very familiar with in building management colony games like this. There's build, there's demolish, that you can set the priority of individual tasks by using this to click on them. This allows you to click and drag gathering targets. Research we can't do yet because we don't have an arcane secretary, which we'll build. And then on the right, you have management options. This is to set their schedules, set their priorities, set what meals they're allowed to eat, create groups, manage your relics, view the game log, go into different kind of lenses for looking at the game, like rooms or lighting, for example. And all of this we'll talk about as it becomes important. In the upper right, you're going to see the population cap that we have. So we could have 21 population here, and right now we only have 3. So we have a lot of room to grow. It shows a breakdown of what elements you have on staff. This doesn't change for students. This is just on staff. And then down below it, you have this incredibly useful inventory management window that we will get into in a moment. In the upper left, you can see there's some more pop-ups that have emerged. So to build anything, if we want to build some rooms and get our school going, we're going to need some resources. You can see right here it says resources. We have none. We have nothing. So that's not good. We need some resources. So let's learn about collecting resources. Mind over Magic is based on indirect control over mages. So again, this is the colony management element that is very similar to Dwarf Fortress, Oxygen not included. Any of these kind of games, RimWorld, where you need to set priorities. So we're going to mark tasks for mages to accomplish. So we tell them what to do, and then they will do things based on their priorities. Select objects in the world by clicking on them. Action buttons will appear next to the pane on the bottom left for like mining or whatever actions can occur for that item that we've clicked on in the world, or that object that we've clicked on in the world. And we can set their priorities to accomplish certain tasks over others. And we'll talk about that. I'm going to then learn about basic controls. We really already talked about moving the camera and speeding and slowing the game up and down. So we're going to look right now at marking resources. So there's many ways to do this in Mind Over Magic. If I just click on this rock, for example, this surface rock, you can see what it is. It gives you an explanation. It tells you how many resources remain. It tells you what element and or skill is associated with this, and what you get out of it. So when you mine it, you get 3 to 4 stone with each mining progress that fills in. Earth mages will be better at doing this. Now, you can click mine to have this marked for mining. And once it's been marked for mining, this button will fill in. You can see the color more vibrantly, and there will be a little mining pick above it to be like, hey, you clicked that. But let's say I want more than just that rock for mining. I can double click on rocks, and now every rock that's on the screen that I can see with the camera has been selected. You see how it says surface rock times 3. And if I click mine, now all of the rocks have been selected for mining, which is fine. But there's more ways to do this. I can click the gather button, and with the gather button, I can click on things that I want to gather, and I can filter it. So right now it's selecting anything. Like anything I click on that I can gather, it will do it. It will mark it for mining, for chopping, for harvesting, or for hunting. So I could click on, for example, like this rat, and I could click on this tree. And now they're both tagged for their respective jobs. However, I can just hold down left mouse button and, start really gathering stuff if I need. But if I don't like that, I could click cancel, And you can also use the number keys, like cancel is number 6. The number keys that are running horizontally across the top of your keyboard. Or I can click on cancel, and then I can just left click to get rid of these jobs. And I can right click to clear the cursor. So those are some ways to gather, but you can also say, you know what, over here in the upper right where it says wild, I could say, you know what, I need a lot of wood. So I can open up plants, and I could say, oh, okay, there's a bunch of these sun shadow trees. In fact, right here, if I click on this tree, it's a sun shadow tree. There's 18. And this is 18 not just on what I can see right now with the camera, but that's every tree that's visible to me with the fog at this status. And so if I hold down Shift and left click on this, I have now selected every sun shadow tree on the map, and I can say chop. And now you'll see if I zoom out, every tree everywhere has been marked. This is an unbelievably powerful way to mark things without having to search around and look for them. I can click cancel right here with them all selected to stop doing that. And then even more useful sometimes is if you're looking for something, you can just search for it. You could type it in here, and you find whatever is best for you. If you want to mark them with the gathering tool, if you want to click on them individually, if you want to search for them. But it depends kind of like how big or small your job is. I just want to show you all the different things. Now, how do we know what to get right now? I mean, there's so many resources out here. There's gutberry vines. There's dire rats. There's rocks. There's wormweed. There's trees. What am I supposed to be gathering? And down here, look, there's even some ore to gather. Well, the way you can figure out what you need is by clicking on build and saying, okay, well, I need to build some rooms. So I need to build walls, and I need to build floors, and I need to build roof. And to do that, I need stone, I need wood, staircase, wood, doorway, wood. So for most things that I need right now, it's stone and wood. Now, gutberries, as you can see right here, these are something that we could prepare into a meal, but are most used early in the game for repelling the fog. If I mouse over the repel fog ritual, you could see that I need at least 4 gutberries and 34 wood to do this ritual. So there is an incentive to gather a few gutberries. At the bottom center of the screen, you see in 3 days, the fog is going to consume the school. I don't have to worry about that. Days take actually a pretty long time to pass, even with the game sped up. But I don't want to get surprised. So what I'm going to do is prepare myself by getting wood and stone. And I'm not going to actually gather the gutberries right now, because if you gather resources and leave them out, if it rains, they will get destroyed by the rain, and they will deteriorate and go away. We do not yet have the research technology to build storage chests to put resources into things or to create any kind of storage at all. So we need to kind of actually only harvest what we're going to use immediately and be somewhat efficient. So this is good for if we get hungry. The dire rat, people can just eat that. People can also just eat gutberries. So I've got some rocks marked, and I'm going to mark trees as well, but I don't think I need to mark 18 trees. I'm just going to mark a few. So I'm going to double click on the trees that I see, and there's 9, and I'm just going to say chop. And even then, you see how these trees are marked for chopping, but they have an hourglass? That's because they're not grown. This sun shadow tree is only 2/3 of the way grown, so it won't be harvested until it finishes growing. So we're not actually going to get that. We're actually only going to get these 4 trees that are big. And I'm also going to go ahead and just click the gather button. I'm going to get 2 gutberry bushes and 1, 2, 3 more stone, and I'm going to push spacebar and let them go. Now you'll notice we got another staff member. We have our 3 staff that we brought, and then now there's Lily. Lily is the ghost of the founder, and Lily is an amazing employee because Lily will never level up, will never get stronger at any of these skills, at least for now. I don't think ever. But Lily never needs to sleep or eat because Lily is a ghost, so Lily can work 24/7. So let's go ahead and get everybody working. I am not going to set any priorities at the moment because the only job that we're doing that I've marked is gathering. So we don't really need priorities, but we can look at that when we have more labor to choose between. Now, this is the great thing about Mind Over Magic. You see them all working with their wands. They do everything with their wands. Everything is magic. So they've chopped some things. These gutberries are lying here on the ground. There's some seeds here as well lying on the ground. And then there is some stone that's just sitting here. Even though these resources are not in storage, once they've been harvested, they become available to us. So we have 4 gutberries now, 2 seeds and 2 stone, as you can see over on the right in the resources tab. So, we now have acquired 28 wood. We've got a carcass because we killed a rat. And the wood is piling up, which is great. What time is it? It is 7:37 a.m. So, not that much time has passed. Boom. And now it's telling us we don't have any walls built, which is true. And it says learn about construction. So the build palette, which is the button on the far left, or push number 1, can be used to spend resources to create objects in the world. So we need to build on the foundation by using the build tool and making walls and roofs or floors. And the foundation is this wooden floor here that's supported by these columns underneath the ground, and this is where we can build right now. We cannot build on the grass. We can only build where there's a foundation. Now, in Mind Over Magic, you cannot, if I were to build, and I select wall, you can't build more than what you have resource-wise. So you can't, like, blueprint in some massive structure and then wait for them to go gather the resources. You actually have to have the resources to create anything. So if, for example, I want to build a wall, I can get this put in, but if I go too high, you see how it starts to turn gray? That means I don't have enough stone, and you could see in the tooltip it's telling me. So I can right-click to cancel all of this, but all you do is select wall with left-click to select where you want to start it, and then start dragging it up, and then left-click again to say you're done. So I'm going to build a wall right here, and I'm going to right-click to stop building. This wall is going to be 4 high. Most rooms early on, for what you have, need to be 4 high with a ceiling on the top. And 4 high is good enough. So I'll build this 4 high, but if I build a wall right here, everybody's going to be stuck outside. They won't be able to get inside. So what we need to build with this wall is a doorway. And you can build a door, which takes some wood, or you can build the hallway. Now, I like to build a door because I don't want to have just an open access to the outside. And the door, as you build it, it's now selected, and it's going to cut away a section of this wall. And it goes in the front. You can see how, like, the passageways go in the front, and the wall goes behind, like that. And then I've got this little wall here, and I'm just going to have this small construction project queued in. Now, you'll notice that my nature mage has started building. Now it's time to actually adjust priorities. My nature mage is good at harvesting, better at chopping and harvesting than building. So I'm going to open up the priority screen by clicking on the priority button, or Shift 2 over here. And this is basically saying, okay, these are all the different jobs and categories of labor that are in the game. And everybody has a dash on all of these different jobs. And that means they do them at the same priority level. I can raise or lower the priority to get people who have aptitudes for a particular job doing that above jobs that they're less good at. So, for example, any of these, like anything in white, like for Lily the Ghost, all of her stuff is in white because she has level 1 in everything. She's not great at anything. But if somebody is good, the color of that job type intensifies. So it can go from tan at level 2 to this kind of lighter brown at level 3. And usually what you want is for your mages with high scores in a job to prioritize that over other labor that they're not as good at. So, for example, I'm going to boost up by just left-clicking on Dorian, my nature mage, harvesting, tending, and chopping. And then now, they will do anything that, all of these jobs that they're good at, over doing jobs that, you know, that are white, that they're not good at. Now, Dorian is actually not bad at construction because they have Earth 2, so I'm not mad at them for doing that. But I would prefer if they do currently harvesting instead. And I want Vincent prioritized on hunting, destruction, cooking, and Barrich on charging, which is not as important right now, but definitely research. The other thing is, way over here on the far left, I want these jobs to be prioritized. And the way that this priority window works is it goes from left to right. So medical rest, I actually want everybody to have a high priority for medical rest. This means if they get hurt, I want them to not do anything else but to go rest and restore their health first. I also want them to have high priority on aiding, which means if somebody is injured and in a medical bed, they will go help them. So these are like jobs that I really, really want them to do. And then teaching, I also want to be a high priority, like so. Because you don't want your students standing around not doing anything. Now, we don't have any students, so giving them teaching priority doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's setting it up for the future. Now, you can mess with this even more, and you could go fine-tune like level 2 abilities and specialize, but for now, this is going to be fine for the jobs that we have available. So I'm going to now push escape, and you can see that Dorian is still building. And Dorian is still building because that's the job that they were already doing. But even though I've set priorities, you can still manually control your mages if you need to. So for example, I have Dorian selected, and I'm just going to right-click on this tree right here, and you'll see that it's already claimed by someone else, by Barrich. So instead, I'm going to right-click on this tree and say chop it. Only one mage is going to do this job at a time. You can't double them up. So what I'm going to do now is watch, and Dorian will be like, oh, okay, you want me to do that? And we'll go do that. Never forget that you can, if something is an emergency, or if you want to change someone to do something else against their priorities temporarily, you can always click on them, and then you can right-click on them to do that. Another option you have for doing that Let's say, for example, I have a million chop or harvest jobs set, and there's one in particular or two in particular that I want to do. Well, I can change the priority of the task. If I click the task priority button, you're going to see how all of the tasks, this like number 3, pops up everywhere. And the number 3 means right in the middle. It's middle priority. Whereas if I go lower, then like number 1, it means very, very low priority. But if I go to 5, that means high priority. And so I can click on this gauge in the bottom left where it says task priority and go to 5, for example, and then click on this. And you see how my mouse cursor has changed to an up arrow, or if I go to a 1, it's still an up arrow, but it's just changing the priority. And I can actually just hold and drag the mouse around to, change the priority of different things. But then what this means is if there are several different actions queued that are the same job, you can change the priority so that this job will get done above all others. And that's something that you can mess with, and you will have to start messing with that as our demands become more sophisticated. But for right now, this is fine. Now, how much? Let's look over here. I have 98 wood, which is good, but I don't have very much stone. So, I need some more stone done. And let me just look at priorities. Who is good at mining? Is anybody amazing at it? Well, you know who is? Dorian and Vincent. So I'm going to actually bump up Vincent's priority on mining and say, hey, Vincent, I know you're building right now, but can you mine instead? And then there he goes. And Barrett is going to take care of the building. You see how these are getting filled up? Now, it just told us right here, there's an unreachable object. What does that mean? Well, let me explain. You see how I mouse over this? The green area is where is the pathing lens. This is where my mages and students can walk. They can no longer get to certain things like the mana font to recharge their mana because this wall is blocking them. However, once this door gets built, you will see, let's just let this happen, and that warning goes away because now they can get through this door. And if you ever want to know where your mages can walk and can't walk, in the bottom right there, or F5, there's this pathing lens. You can click this, and anything in green means they can get there. So they can get everywhere on this map now that that door has been built. Okay, and we're getting a bunch of wood. I have enough wood, by the way, and enough gut berries that if I click on the ritual, I could do the repel fog. I don't really recommend that you do this right now. You can, when I was early, I started repelling the fog and just kept pushing it back and back, but it actually takes a lot of resources, and we don't need to waste time repelling it right now. We have enough visible for what we're trying to do. I'm not stressed about it, so I'm going to save my resources and repel the fog later. But I do want to just make sure I have enough resources on hand so that if I need to do it in a pinch that I can. I'm going to speed it up. So I'm just pushing E to speed it up to ×2. And you could see that they're going ahead and building. Now I have some more stone, so let's etch in some more. What I recommend that you do is that you build on each side a door and a wall to start us out. This is as wide as we can build on our foundation. And additionally, how much wood do I have? I have enough. I'm going to select the spiral stair, and I'm going to say, you know what? I want to make a spiral staircase that is like a central staircase. You can do stairs in a variety of ways. You can build traditional stairs. I like spiral stairs because they are space conscientious. And if I click here, for example, I could just start building a staircase up like so that I can continue later. And this kind of marks our area for how we're going to build up in our school. Now, another project that I want to do is take the floor and I want to build this all the way across like so. But you'll notice something if I do this. First of all, I'm building a floor to act as a de facto ceiling to enclose these bottom floor rooms. And it will do that, and it will also provide a floor for the second floor, for rooms to have a floor up there. But what the floor does not do is protect against the rain. So even though this looks like a roof, it's not a roof for the rain, so we're going to need to build an actual roof. But we want to build the floor first instead of a roof so that we can plan to extend to a second floor. As I drag this floor across, you could see in the bottom right there is a support window coming up, and as long as the support is teal, that means it's full support, and as it gets darker blue, it's less support, and as soon as it turns yellow, that means there's no support and you can't build that far. So what we're going to have to do is build some walls under here to provide some more support so we can build this floor all the way across. So I could queue that up, I could build that right there, and this will not fall over, this is fine. But what I'm going to do underneath is build a wall that goes right up here, like so, and it will provide support here, by the way, when you mouse over it. And I'm going to build a hallway. Actually, let me go to this. You see how it says 100%? That means support. And now, if I build a floor, I can build the floor again. And I can build it out even further to this point. Okay, so I'm going to go, okay, fine. And I'm going to actually build it. Let's just do it like this. I was going to have 4 rooms, but let's just do, I think 3 rooms is just fine along the bottom. And your mileage may vary. You might want to pack things in tighter. That is totally up to you. But let's say I want to build a wall, and I want to build a wall right down here and provide 100% support, and then build a floor that goes all the way here. I can't build it because I don't have enough wood yet, but this is my start. Now, this is still going to block everyone, but instead of building a doorway, you can build a hallway. A hallway is just like an arched door that people can walk through, but they're great because they don't take resources, and they count as a door to divide rooms. And also, it completely compartmentalizes them. So, there's, at least early, there's no kind of difference between having a door and a hallway for separating your rooms. If a room, for example, can't be next to one type of room, a doorway or a hallway doesn't change that fact. So this is just an easy way to provide access. And I'm just going to unpause the game and watch them build this. Now, you'll see that I'm running out of wood, so what I need to do is just select my gathering tool and just mark a few trees here for gathering. Wood is going to be one of the things that you really, really run out of early game and even mid game. It's definitely a bottleneck that you need to keep your eye on because you can't get wood unless the trees grow, and you need to start growing your own trees to make sure that you have a steady supply of wood. So now you can see I have the game going at the fastest speed. They've made this archway, and people are doing their priorities. You can see Dorian is doing chopping because that's high up on the list for them. I'm going to need to mark some more areas for mining, and I'm going to get some more gut berries as well. And just a little bit of that. There we go. The ghost is crushing it. Okay, we did it. We built our first room. So once you have a room that has walls on each side with doors or arches and has a roof or that's either made of a floor or an actual roof, the back wall will get built and you'll know that it's done. So they're telling us about stairs, and the stairs go in the back of the school, doors go in the front of the school. That's enough information about that. And now they're talking to us about rooms, and this is the backbone of the game, which is schoolroom is like generic room. It's fine for anything. but it doesn't provide any bonuses. Certain tasks require a more sophisticated or specialized room, which is the kind of meat and potatoes of this game, is figuring out how to build these rooms to optimize and specialize your school. You'll also notice that this room is really dark because there's no light, and we need light, so I'm going to build. And in the build menu, construction is what we have been doing, but I'm going to go over to the lighting panel, and I need a wall torch. It's the only lighting that we can build right now, and it takes viscera, which you get from killing animals. And if you don't, I'm going to put a light in here as well, just for some basic lights. This will not provide very much light. On the wall torch, you see we can't build it anymore, and it's because we need viscera. If I mouse over viscera, it says it's used in recipes. Okay, good, but how do I get it? Well, this is nested tooltip. I moused over viscera in one tooltip, which opened up another tooltip. Now that I've held it over here enough and locked this tooltip in place, I can mouse over sources, and it tells us we can get it from Ember Dragon's Roosts, Midden Jelly, Quilted Sweep, Quilted Miner, and most importantly, Dire Rats, which is what we have. So let's go ahead and mark some more Dire Rats for gathering. And you could see, when your mage runs out of mana, they can't do labor anymore. Mana is like their stamina, basically. And so once that runs out, then they have to come down to the mana font to recharge. And now they can go back and do jobs again. It's another reason why higher level mages are better at their task, because they require less mana to do it. It's more efficient. So they have less travel time going back to the rechargers. Okay, and now you can see we have some light in this room. Fantastic. If I go to the lighting lens, which is F2 in the bottom right, you could see that this room is dimly lit, which is reasonable, but what we want is a well-lit room so that no void shroom, which are these kind of like bad mushrooms that spawn that drain your mana, we don't want them. So we want to make sure that, you know, to repel the fog, fighting the darkness in the fog, we have enough light. So we're going to need to build some more torches in here to get that. Okay, and now I have some more wood, so I'm going to finish this by building a floor all the way across to make these rooms all complete. And then I'm going to just build a really basic roof for now that goes across like this. And let's talk about the roof building. So the roof, you select one point as your start, and then you select another point as your end. But once you're done, you can actually drag it down to make it a shorter roof if you want, and you can even adjust like the wonkiness of it. No wonk, lots of wonk. If you want to make it, you know, an even room, like you want to make it just a normal looking roof, you can do that. But no, come back here. No. Okay, I messed it up by doing that. So I'm going to just right-click to cancel it and do it again. I was trying to show you some different configurations, and I messed it up. But it's a good thing to talk about because, yeah, with no wonk, you can make it look like a traditional roof like this. No wonk. But what I'm going to do is just smash it, and it will still look weird because this is not an even number, but that's okay. And we'll just get some, and you can add wonk if you want. 50%, whatever. We will get a roof there. Okay. And all I'm doing, the reason I'm doing this is because if it rains, the rain will come through the floor and will damage the items inside the school, and they'll have to be repaired. So, or the items themselves will get lost or damaged, and I don't want that. But here's the deal. This roof is temporary. It is so important to understand that in Mind Over Magic, you can deconstruct anything at any time for full return on the materials. The only thing you waste is time and labor, but you don't lose any materials. So build temporary stuff and plan on completely changing things as you go. So now what we have, I'm going to drop in some more torches as well. I know I'm going to need one, for example, in this room, here, there. That's all my viscera, so I'm going to need to mark some more rats for hunting. Sure. Now I've got some torches. And the final thing I want to build is in the furniture tab. We're going to need to build some cots. It's not sleep time yet, but it's going to get to be sleep time, and I want to make sure that my mages can rest. So you can build you could build cots in the basement if you wish, or you could build some cots on your ground floor. It is totally up to you, and even once you build them, you can demolish these and get your resources back, or you can just move them. I'm going to go ahead and just build these beds in this room right here. Now, beds need to be accessed from the side. So if I build a bed here and I build a bed here, if I build a bed right here next to this bed, nobody can get to that bed. So you have to leave some space for people to get to the bed. I only need 3 beds right now because I only have 3 people, so I'm just going to get those like that. And here they go. They're doing all the jobs. They're building all the things. You can see, by the way, like, she's building this roof from outside. She doesn't need to be on the top floor to do that. And if you build stuff in a place where it looks like no mage can get, remember your ghost can fly and can go ahead and reach those for you. And look at this. We already have a new room. It's an austere bedroom. So this room has changed into a specialized type because of the furniture we put inside it. And an austere bedroom provides a benefit. So if I click the room type lens over here, and I click on or just mouse over austere bedroom, this room provides plus 2.5 conviction to sleepers. So people who sleep in this room get a conviction bonus, which is great. And we'll talk more about rooms and specializations as we go in this series. I'm just doing a very, very rough and ready start so that you can have like a basic outline of a school. You don't have to use this. You could push this wall closer to the staircase, make your staircase room really, really tight, and then break this into 2 rooms or however you want to do things. There we go. We have another room here. Just keeping track, I have 200 wood, I have 106 stone, I have 4 viscera, I have 6 gut berries, looking good. Now they're telling me I have idle staff. What does that mean? Oh my gosh. Well, you never want to see this. This is like the Bane. Well, in Old Dwarf Fortress, this was the Bane. New Dwarf Fortress doesn't. You don't have to worry about this because they don't go idle as easily, if ever. They always do something. They always haul or something. This means I have no jobs. There's nothing for people to do because all of these jobs have been claimed. The construction jobs. So I need to give people some other labor, and that is no problem at all. We have a bunch of labor. So what I'm going to do is actually just tell them to harvest some gut berries. So I'm just going to select these gut berries, and I'm going to say, also, can you kill another dire rat and this stone? I'm just kind of selecting some things that I know that I want. Might as well get some of these phoenix kisses and some rats. There we go. Now, nobody is idle. They're going to go do jobs immediately, and they're going to do jobs based on their priority. The beds are built, so they all have a place to sleep. And look at this. Boom. The whole ground floor is built in. If I click on lighting, this room is dimly lit. Why is it dimly lit? It has 2 torches, as these do. The bigger the room, the more light that it needs. So this room would need yet another torch to get not dimly lit. So let's just go to lighting. Now, here's another cool thing. Instead of going to lighting, you could just click on the torch and you could say build copy, which is B, and then you could put one, you know, on the back wall like that to get that third torch in there. That roof is done. It's becoming nighttime, but almost. Oh my gosh. Look, the fog has moved in. Now it's 2 days. So we might want to push that fog back. It's getting close. It's claiming our trees, and it might swallow up our resources. So we don't want that to happen. So let's push it back. But there we go. We did it. So this room, nobody's going to go up here, but it will produce void shrooms. So we might want to drop in, you know, some torches just to avoid that for now. Nobody's going to go up here. We're not really doing anything in this area. It's just like an empty attic, but I needed a roof, so if it rained, these rooms don't get any damage. We have a bedroom. We have a central staircase that we can expand on, and we have a beautiful start to our school, but we need to start summoning students, build a classroom, learn about rooms, explore the Underschool. And we're going to get into that in subsequent episodes. This is going to be a guide series because there is so much to explain and do in this game that I can't just explain it all in one episode. I want to give you as thorough and detailed an introduction to the game so that you can not feel overwhelmed, not feel mystified, can have a grasp of the basics and fundamentals so you can enjoy the game on your own and make your choices for design, optimization, priorities, level, whatever you want to do. So if you have any questions about the game, please post those in the comments below. I'd love to help you out. Look forward to future episodes where I go deeper into the gameplay, explain more concepts, and if you are a Mind Over Magic veteran and you'd like to share any tips for a new player, that is so helpful. I appreciate that so much. Just make sure that you don't go too far into the weeds and don't spoil things for somebody who's never played the game before. Let's not overwhelm anybody. Let's not, push a endgame agenda on a new player. Let's just talk about the basics first. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. And everyone, I hope you found this to be useful and fun. I will check you in the next episode. Take care.